Hi scholars, in today's lecture of toxicology we are going to discuss about mercury poisoning. So mercury is basically a metal which is in liquid state at room temperature. At 37 degrees Celsius it easily melts, so it is in liquid state. And it has three different forms under which we are going to study its toxicology. They are elemental mercury, another is inorganic mercury, and another is organic mercury. This elemental mercury is mainly found in liquid state and is non-poisonous type because it is not absorbed easily from the surface. And this inorganic mercury, it is found in rodenticides, and this organic form of mercury, it is found in the form of methylmercury, which is formed due to bioaccumulation of mercury in fish. So basically this inorganic and organic type, these two are poisonous, and elemental mercury, it is not considered poisonous, but however this vapor state, when this liquid converts to vapor form, this vapor can be inhaled and can be poisonous. So one question which arises here is, why is mercury poisonous? So mercury, it combines with sulfhydryl group of metabolic enzymes. And inhibit metabolism, or it hampers metabolism. So basically what happens here is that the oxidative damage, the enzyme which prevents the oxidative damage, So in our body there are different enzymes which prevent the oxidative damage. In this enzyme, it contains a sulfhydryl group. So in this sulfhydryl group, the mercury element, it combines and it hampers this enzyme, due to which this enzyme cannot prevent the oxidative damage and it causes the damage of our organ. And this mainly it causes the oxidative stress in kidney. Kidney is the major organ which encounters such oxidative stress, and due to which it causes renal failure and finally death. So mercury, it combines with sulfhydryl group of these metabolic enzymes and cause the renal failure and finally death. So now let's talk about acute mercury poisoning. It occurs due to inhalation of vapor, sudden inhalation of vapor, mercury vapor, and the major symptoms seen here are metallic taste in mouth, similarly burning sensation and irritation, similarly corrosion of tongue and GIT too, corrosion of tongue and GIT. And similarly we see mucus, stringy type of white mucus is seen in vomit and even blood, mucus and blood. And this mucus is string type, white color mucus where long strings are seen in vomit. Frequent vomitation occurs And similarly, other different hypersensitivity reactions are also major symptoms. Hypersensitivity reactions. Next is sympathomimetic effects. Similarly, collapse, shock, and convulsions. So these are the major symptoms seen during acute mercury poisoning, and all these lead to death. Finally, due to these symptoms, collapse, shock, and convulsion occurs, and it leads to death. But in some case, if the death is delayed, if they do not occur, it may delay up to 2 to 3 days, or sometimes some case even in 5 days. Then in such condition, there is profuse salivation. Profuse salivation, and gums become swollen, loosen teeth, gums are swollen and teeth become very loose, painful, and even foul breath. Now, along with this, one major symptom you are seeing is renal failure. Renal failure due to nephrotoxicity. So mercury is basically nephrotoxic in nature, and renal failure occurs due to uremic syndrome. Uremic syndrome is seen. So these are the major symptoms in mercury poisoning, and to remember the main points here are hypersensitivity, similarly aversion, this is in chronic case, and renal failure, similarly brain damage, intestine ulcer, and sympathomimetic effects. So in mercury poisoning, we have to remember all these steps. This intestinal ulcer and aversion, they are mainly in chronic case. Other symptoms are seen both in acute as well as chronic. So to remember this, HARBIES, we have to remember Harvey's. So these are the main symptoms that you should not miss in your topic. Now, fatal dose for acute mercury poisoning. In case of acute mercury poisoning, the fatal dose is 1 to 2 gram, which is mercury chloride. Mercuric chloride. But in mercuric chloride, it is not so toxic. This mercuric form is highly toxic in nature, and the person dies within few hours. It may delay up to, if it is delayed, it may delay up to 3 to 5 days maximum. Otherwise, the death is sudden. So now let's talk about its treatment. Treatment of acute mercury poisoning. So at first we have to wash stomach with sodium formaldehyde sulfoxylate. This compound is required to wash the stomach. This mainly converts the soluble form of mercury which is easily absorbable mercury into insoluble form. So that insoluble form cannot be absorbed in intestine and other different parts. So it converts the soluble to insoluble. Similarly, this insoluble form can be made by using egg albumin too. The albumin of egg also converts the soluble form of mercury into insoluble. So this also can be used. Similarly, we use here activated charcoal. For adsorption of mercury, and for the better adsorption we add magnesium sulfate in activated charcoal. So combination of activated charcoal and magnesium sulfate is best. Similarly, here antidote can be used, that is British anti-leucent. British anti-leucent agent can be used as antidote in combination with penicillamine. So this is the major antidote used in mercury poisoning. And another thing we have to do here is dialysis. Dialysis of kidney if symptoms are seen of renal failure, otherwise not required. And then treatment of shock. So sudden shock may occur, so treatments should be continued. So these are the major treatment involved in acute mercury poisoning. So now let's talk about postmortem changes that occur during acute mercury poisoning. Mainly we see whitish tongue, and in mouth portion there are many diffuse grayish appearance. Mouth portion is completely gray, diffuse appearance. Diffuse appearance in. Similarly, corrosion and inflammation. Inflammation in mucous membrane and even in alimentary tract, GIT. Similarly, toxic nephritis. Toxic nephritis is seen, and fatty degeneration. Fatty degeneration of liver, and hemorrhage in heart. That the hemorrhage is subendocardial. Subendocardial hemorrhage in heart. So these are the major postmortem changes that are seen in acute mercury poisoning. Now, chronic mercury poisoning. This mainly occurs due to after effects of acute poisoning. When mercury is accumulated in the body, and it may also occur due to continuous accidental absorption. Accidental absorption of mercury. For example, those who are working in manufacturing of thermometer, your mercury is used. Similarly, the detectives or the police who are used in fingerprint detection. They are prone to this accidental mercury absorption. Now let's talk about sign and symptoms. The major signs and symptoms involved are excessive salivation and the metallic taste in mouth. Similarly, we can see here blue or black lining, blue black lining in gums. This is the specific symptom for mercury poisoning. However, it is seen in lead poisoning too. And similarly, other hypersensitivity reactions are also seen. Hypersensitivity reactions and the nephritis, which cause renal failure. Similarly, abortion, because it is easily absorbed from placenta, and neurological symptoms, different neurological symptoms. Similarly, sympathomimetic effects, which was seen in acute too. And another major symptom seen here is brown discoloration of eyelids. So these are the major symptoms seen in chronic mercury poisoning. Treatment in chronic case is that we have to remove the patient from the source. Remove from source. And another is promote elimination. By different sources we have to promote the elimination of mercury from body. And similarly, we have to give alkaline solution to fight against acidosis. Metabolic acidosis occurs due to this renal insufficiency, so we have to give alkaline solution to fight against acidosis too. And the post-mortem changes seen here are major changes are necrosis of large intestine. Necrosis of intestine, basically large intestine is involved here, and the renal damage and fatty degeneration of intestine, liver and cardiac muscles. So these are the major postmortem findings in chronic poisoning of mercury. And that's all for today. Thank you.